Hey everyone, welcome back to my completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS. In this episode we're going to conclude our business with the Cowled Wizards and bring about their ultimate doom. But before we get to all that, we're going to have to rearrange our spells a little bit more, because in between recordings I've had a moment to think a little bit more in detail about what I want to do for the next 3 waves of the Cowled Wizards, and I decided to scrap the whole plan with the triple skull trap sequencer. That was just a bad idea. I was a little absent-minded in the previous episode when I came up with that. The Cowled Wizards, of course, are all pre-buffed with at least a minor globe of invulnerability, which is going to protect them from skull traps in combat, and the only way we would be able to successfully unleash them would be in the form of a trap, preferably coupled with some delayed blast fireballs and whatnot. And while this is a viable strategy, we have already disposed of one of their waves by using our thief traps. So even though those would be some different spells, the concept would remain the same, and I want to have these fights be a little bit more interesting. So we're just going to get rid of this sequencer, and we're even going to be so nice as to remove these floating skulls from Cromwell's building here, because Senashira is protected against magical damage, and so we can just remove these floating skulls and the sound associated with them floating around from Cromwell's workshop. And we're going to set up a different sequencer after we rest, including this triple ice storm. This is a pretty rarely used spell, and we will be able to get some value out of it here, because this is a level 4 spell, so the mages pre-buffed with only minor globe, and not globe on invulnerability, are going to be damaged by that. And I think in wave 5 we're going to use that. Anyway, we're going to rearrange our spells a little bit more, and primarily on Senashira, we are going to give her one more Greater Malison, because one of them I'm going to cast manually and the other one is going to be placed in a sequencer. And we also are going to want Fire Shield Blue for a little bit later. Also, we want to remove this limited wish. We still have one wish that we need to do, but the time for that is going to come a little bit later, and we're going to set up another sequencer on her. And also on Jaheira, we are going to give her some Fire Seeds. And this is a spell that we have not used yet, and it's not going to shine that much in these waves. We are going to revisit this spell in Throne of Bhaal, where I'm going to present some cool property of this spell, but even now this is going to add a little bit more damage from afar, because on the upcoming wave we are going to go with a little bit more of a ranged strategy, and this is going to, you know, have the opportunity to maybe interrupt some of their spells and whatnot. This basically creates a couple of Fire Seed projectiles that you can pass around to different party members. It doesn't have to be Jaheira. They have 1 attack per round base, but if you have a fighter with, you know, level 13 or up like Jaheira, you get that additional attack per round coming from the fighter levels, from level 7 and 13. So Jaheira would have 2 attacks with those per round, and once they are considered a +6 enchanted weapon, so that's already pretty good. But how they deal that AoE damage once these Fire Seeds explode upon the target, they don't explode like a fireball would, but they spread their damage to nearby targets, kind of like Insect Plague. And that AoE damage actually bypasses spell and physical protections. So this is a very notable spell when it comes to, I guess, creatively using its mechanics. You can get to very protected enemies with that spell by just attacking something that's near them, and then that damage that gets kind of transferred over to the nearby targets like Insect Plague would can get through to them. But anyway, we're just going to use a little bit of it without, you know, much expectations. But what's also interesting about these Fire Seeds and what we're going to showcase in Throne of Bhaal is that this damage that gets transferred, you know, to the nearby targets can apply different on-hit effects, and we're going to explore that kind of idea later. And now, do we need anything more? I think that's going to be it. So we're just going to craft another item with Cromwell here and get some rest. Alright, so the next one is going to be the Wave Halberd. We of course have the blade coming from Prince Villinati from the Sahuagin city, and we've had the shaft I'm kind of forgetting from where, but we've had it for a while. I think it's in the planar prison. Yeah. Anyway, 7,500 gold required for that. And this is actually going to be a pretty interesting halberd. When it comes to just everyday use, it's not that great, considering that in the Underdark you get the Dragon's Breath halberd, which is just great. There's also that one halberd in Athkatla that gives you +1 strength that you can buy, and depending on your character, that can give you a great benefit. But this one is still useful. Oh yeah, we need to change our amulets here. This one is still useful because it has a 15% chance of dealing 15 cold damage, so that's something. But most importantly, it instantly slays fire elementals, Ifrit, and salamanders. And there is going to be one place in Throne of All specifically when we're going to get some decent value out of that property, so we're definitely going to hold on to it. Alright, and now in preparation for the fight, now we're going to start pre-buffing a little bit more. Like we're going to have some more protections on our other mages as well, so that their spells do not get interrupted, because we are going to use some spells with longer cast times now. And you know, I think to that effect, everyone is going to get a stone skin. Edwin as well. Right, and they are also going to get some mirror images.
Yes?
And Senashira is going to get Spell Shield. Spell immunity to Abjuration, and probably even Globe. Also, we're already going to cast our True Sight with Imoen. And a little bit later with Anomen. We want to have these two effects constantly running, so that the pesky Cowled Wizards don't remain invisible or with their mirror images for too long. Alright, now we just need to position ourselves. And we're going to... oh, don't come closer, harlot. We're going to, of course, get ourselves the Cowled Wizard summoned. Oh, please don't come closer. She, of course, is going to do that. I also forgot to cast those fire seeds, so perhaps in the next wave we're going to do that, or maybe even in this one. We'll see in a moment. First, I wanted to cast Earthquake with Jaheira, and that's why I wanted to do a little bit more of a ranged strategy, because Earthquake damages, of course, everybody, and well, it wouldn't do much to Senashira, but in the first round it would have the chance of knocking her down to the ground, because I basically wanted to cast Earthquake from Jaheira, and that, of course, in the first round especially, has a strong chance of knocking people to the ground for 4 rounds, and that comes with a -6 penalty on it, so that's pretty effective. And also we're going to get some symbol stun from Anomen this time, and that of course has a chance to stun, but seeing that this harlot is so close, we're not going to be able to do that. But she is going to run away, I think, seeing that when combat ensues, she is going to run away, so I think we might be able to unleash those spells in a moment. Anyway, we are going to cast Remove Magic first from Imoen. This is going to come. Well, let's see what they do here, what free buffs they get. Alright, so their illusions already get dispelled. Let me just see. The grey guy has immunity to divination and has some simulacrums, and he also has spell shield and he has spell turning. Yeah, the other ones start getting like spell deflection instead of minor spell turning, I think. Although... yeah, a similar set of protections here. But anyway, this remove magic might do something about it. Okay, this harlot is going away, so I think we can start casting those effects, but they are going to be a little later than I wanted. We can start casting those. And what we are going to do with Senashira here is now after this remove magic hits, we are going to apply Greater Malison onto them to increase the chance that they're going to be affected by the Earthquake and the symbol Stun. Okay, that was actually very, very effective. We can already, like, dispose of this simulacrum at least. Oh yeah, and I wanted Edwin to cast Abidalzim's Horrid Wilting on them here. Alright, so Greater Malison is applied. There's going to be teleport field coming from one of these mages, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Now, okay, Earthquake is underway, so let's get Sinashira out of there. And after the screen stops shaking so violently, we should be able to have a good overview of who was affected by that. These guys are still moving. I think we're going to use our ranged weapons here. Alright, they were nicely affected by Edwin's Horrid Wilting, and the grey guy actually did not save against that, so got damaged quite heavily by that, and already died. So the most dangerous spellcaster from their group is already disposed of. And did we already kill all of them? Is this the last guy, or... Yeah, I think that is it. Yeah, having the double, like, True Seeing, True Sight combo is, like, really effective just to be able to get rid of their mirror images and their invisibility, and they just cannot get away from our different tricks. Alright, so our symbol Stun, I think, from Anomen was not that effective. We get another scroll of Ruby Ray. It was not that effective, but in the next round we are going to use a different set of spells on our characters. We are going to use Symbol Stun from Edwin. And this one, because this is a conjuration spell, this one is going to be harder to save against, because Edwin as a conjurer applies that additional -2 saving throw penalty onto the targets of conjuration spells, so this effectively is going to have a -6 penalty on the saving throw of the opponents, and that, coupled with the Greater Malison, we're going to start applying on every wave now. Well, this is going to, or should be, pretty effective. I have to mention that some of these Cowled Wizards have actually a save versus spell of 1, but with both Greater Malison and this saving penalty coming from Edwin's Symbol Stun, even they should be quite susceptible to that. And the other Cowled Wizards have a saving throw of 6, I think, and some of them, the level 14 ones, I think, have a saving throw of 8. But there's a couple of types of them, so even, I think, some of the level 14 or level 16 can have a save versus spell of 1. You know, we'll see. Alright, now before we rest, we need to set up our sequencers here for the next wave, or waves. Here we're going to get 2 remove magics, and then last we're going to have Greater Malison. How that is going to work, even though these projectiles travel the same speed, you basically send that kind of slow traveling orb that explodes where you target it. These remove magics are going to be applied first, and then Greater Malison after. So, of course, mages protected by Globe of Invulnerability are not going to get affected by that Greater Malison, but still, it should help in a group situation like that. So we're going to have that kind of spell sequencer on Sinashira, and on Imoen we are going to set up our triple Ice Storm. Alright, and we are also going to change Imoen's spells now, and instead of the triple Ice Storm, we are going to give her 2 more secret words, and for the last wave, we are going to set up a triple secret word sequencer on her. So this should be fine, and now Sinashira also doesn't need to have 2 Malisons. 1 is going to be enough, and I think this is going to be it. So we can craft another item here with our buddy Cromwell. And of course now we have both parts of the Silver Sword, the Vorpal weapon, because we've had the blade from Saemon Havarian, and we got the hilt very recently from Cruin. So we can now forge the Silver Sword. And this is going to be our first taste of a Vorpal weapon. which means that this is going to be a weapon with a chance to just instantly kill an opponent that is not immune to that kind of effect. And some of the opponents, like the more notable ones, are going to be immune to that kind of thing, but a lot of different pretty powerful creatures are not. Although this, I think, gives a save. Yeah, so here we have the Silver Sword. It's a +3 two-handed sword, but it has a 25% chance per hit that the target is going to have to make this save versus death at a -2 penalty or just instantly die. So this is something that in our party we are not going to make too much use of, or basically at all, but it's a very notable weapon. And now we need to apply our pre-buffs once again.
What is it now? What is it now?
And this time we are going to also give Senashira this protection from cold scroll. She's going to apply that on herself.
What is it?
Alright, that's applied, and then coupled with the Fire Shield Blue that she is going to have active, she is going to be able to achieve complete immunity to cold damage, and that's because we want to unleash our triple Ice Storm sequencer with Imoen, and we want Senashira to be like right in the middle of all that. And Senashira also has Globe available to her, but I just want to make sure that nothing here goes wrong, because if she gets dispelled, Globe of Invulnerability is going to be one of the first spells that she will lose if she gets affected by like a Kelvin's Warding Whip. So just to be safe, what I want to do here, I want to of course give them all stone skins here.
Time to move? Speak.
Right, we are going to precast these fire seeds here on Jaheira, and I think Jaheira is going to have them. We're not going to pass them over to anyone else. Let Jaheira throw some stuff.
Yep.
Now we're also going to get that True Sight.
Yes.
And then a little bit later, True Seeing.
What is it?
Yeah, I think I am going to pre-buff with Globe as well.
What do you want?
We can have
I'm busy, okay? I'm busy.
the mirror images here.
Yes. Quickly.
Alright,
enter
and
the
let's
site.
go.
Without hesitation.
Here we're going to do something a little different, because we are going to, I think, start using Storm of Vengeance. And this is a fantastic spell for an occasion like that, because Storm of Vengeance, of course, is very good when it comes to interrupting spellcasters, because it offers 3 types of elemental damage, and also that poison chance, which is actually very notable on spellcasters, because it requires a save versus death to be made, which is generally pretty weak on mages, or it's one of their weakest saves, and you know, whereas the save versus spells, sometimes they have an insanely good one, like I said, sometimes they have a save versus spell of 1, but their save versus death is going to be much worse in most cases, and of course that is going to really prevent them from unleashing almost any spells, save for the instantly unleashed sequencers and whatnot. And this actually deals some damage, so this might even be able to finish them off once they get damaged by something else. So we are, I think, going to start using our Storm of Vengeance, and we can already kind of like pre-cast it. This is party friendly, like I said, so Senashira can easily stand in the middle of all that.
This will not
And I think here we're going to go with a tactic that basically involves a lot of AoE damage in the form of cloud spells, but not limited to cloud spells. And I really would like this beggar to go away from here.
if it must be done.
Right, so here come the Cowled Bros. Yes, I know we are unlicensed, but we are not going to submit. We stand defiant. Alright, so they are going to spawn, and we are going to unleash our sequencer in a second.
Have you nothing else to do but bother me?
With
Ready and willing.
Senashira. Okay, there you go. We can already unleash that. This is going to remove some of their protections, apply Greater Malison, Edwin is already in the process of casting that symbol stun, which should be pretty effective. And in a second, we are going to unleash our sequencer from Imoen. Hopefully that beggar does not come back and like step right into that that triple ice storm. But that's going to be it. And we can also equip these fire seeds and throw them at some guys.
What is it?
Right, remove magic is targeted at Edwin. That's not going to matter too much, although we cannot move Imoen out of there.
At your order.
I think, what bullets do you have here? +1.
Speak.
Right.
Certain.
There's no effect. What is it now?
But it seems like our remove magic was not too effective, but you can see that our Storm of Vengeance, now coupled also with the Ice Storm, is going to be pretty effective. And yeah, Jaheira managed to do some fire damage onto all of them, so we should be able to, through our AoE spells, deal some pretty good damage to them. And now the symbol stun was activated, and I think this guy is stunned. And the Cowled Enforcer, the main baddie, was not affected. And also I did not check his pre-buffs. He might have had yeah, immunity to abjuration, that's why. So we are going to, I think, have to resort, unless he gets poisoned. Oh yeah, he is poisoned actually, and this poison deals 4 damage here, so it's actually pretty effective. Even when he of course steps out of all this, he is still going to be poisoned, and I think this poison might be able to finish him off. And he shouldn't be able to do much to our protected Senashira here. Yeah, and this poison keeps ticking, and there he goes. So, Storm of Vengeance, ladies and gentlemen. Or, let's be honest here, gentlemen. I probably have like 1 female viewer. But anyway, let's check our loot here. Oh man, this does not look too great when it comes to getting those scrolls, man. Although we do have that spell trigger. So this is all I really care about, but they do have you know, the capacity of giving us some more just good high-level scrolls. And that would be appreciated. Right, this I think can go to Jaheira. Alright, so now we are going to... I think we have crafted everything we could with Cromwell, and that's actually everything he can craft in the Shadows of Amn, because we have crafted all of the items now, and, you know, previously we crafted that Ankeg armor, the dragon armors. I don't think he has anything... yeah. So we're going to have to rest manually, because now that the Cowled Wizards showed up, they are not going to show up for a couple of more hours, but this gives us an opportunity, of course, to set up our sequencers again. And Senashira is going to get the same one, while Imoen is going to have that triple secret word, because the next wave is going to be the last one. That's going to be the final wave of Cowled Wizards, when they attempt to unleash their most powerful members upon us. And after that 6th last wave, they are not going to bother us anymore. We will be able to cast spells outdoors in Athkatla as much as we want. But of course, at this point in the game, we're really doing it just to deal with the Cowled Wizards for like role-playing reasons, more than anything else. We don't really need to have the ability to cast spells outdoors in Athkatla. There's not that much stuff left to do outdoors. We are going to just rest in the Sea's Bounty here. But yeah, just to elaborate more on the topic maybe. Of course, the Cowled Wizards is just a very evil and corrupt organization, of course, for what they have done to Imoen. We want to get some revenge for the whole concept of Spellhold just being a place where people are sent to disappear and be experimented on. You know, the deviants that Cowled Wizards... So basically, anyone can be labeled as a deviant by the Cowled Wizards. Any of their like enemies or anyone that they want to deal with can get labeled as that and just disappear and be condemned to like a horrible fate there. They just make a life of any person with the gift of magic a living hell here. They are corrupt, they are unchecked, there is no like control over them. When we asked about the Cowled Wizards in the Council of Six building, they just openly admitted that they can't really do anything about them, and they just leave the Cowled Wizards to their own doings. So it's just a horrible organization that we want to deal with here, just because, that's fun. So anyway, I think we have everything that we need. And do I need to change any spells? Oh, you know what we can do? We can already prepare for something a little bit in the future, and I am going to memorize 3 disintegrates here just to be sure that this works. This is going to be a little fun thing that we're going to do soon. And Senashira in this fight, this upcoming fight, doesn't really need any level 6 spells. Alright, so that's going to be it. Let's have ourselves a royal room and do our pre-buffs like we've been doing.
What should I fetch now?
And here I definitely want to prepare a little bit. Oh, I actually even forgot to cast that Fire Shield Blue. Now that I think about it, now that I had a thought about what pre-buffs I want to apply to Senashira, I thought about her Fire Shield Blue, and we didn't even need it because, of course, where our Globe of Invulnerability stayed intact.
Yes?
And we were safe, but that was definitely a little mistake. I wanted to include that Fire Shield Blue just in case.
What do you want?
And now let's do our true seeing bit.
I shall go forth at your command.
Let's get that going. Let's have Jaheira pre-buff Senashira with chaotic commands.
What is it?
Alright, so we are going to have that going. We can get our mirror images then. They still have stone skins, our mages. And I think you can get yourself that globe. And for that we might even haste. It wasn't really necessary in the previous encounters, but this one I am just going to go all out. Because that final wave has a proper powerful mage, as you will see. And I actually would like to have a moment to talk about that mage. Let's go to our standard place. Oh, there are some commoners already. Yeah, it's 6 in the morning. So there isn't really any great place to unleash the Cowled Wizards upon, but I think, yeah, in this corner it should be okay. So let's have our guys
What is it?
over there. Senashira is going to summon the Cowled Wizards. Over here. Let's actually start casting our Storm of Vengeance. This at least is party friendly. This is not going to hurt the bystanders.
Declare yourself.
Alright, so here they have a different line. Your transgressions against the Cowled Wizards have come to an end. Prepare to feel the wrath of the highest members of our order. Right, and here they show up, and they are going to have one named elf mage here called Zallanora. And from Baldur's Gate 2, you would have never, like, any idea about who this person is supposed to be. But, and it's kind of a shame, because they stay pretty true to the lore with this character, and in the Forgotten Realms universe, this is actually a really prominent character. And basically that requires a little bit of a longer backstory, so if you're not interested in that, just forgive me for a moment. But this is really great in my opinion. So basically, this is not the real Zallanora. This is someone else in her body, and that requires a little backstory. Basically, in the times of the ancient Shoon Empire, there was a guy called Shoon VII who became its emperor, and that's not his real name. He has a very like a couple of components, I guess, a couple of names comprising of his full name. But basically, he came to be, of course, most known as Shoon VII, and he was a very, very proficient spellcaster in his life, a necromancer of a very high level, and then later on, through you know, different times, I guess, in his life. Of course, he eventually became a lich, and then over centuries of his existence, that skeletal body dissolved, and he became a demi-lich, so essentially a floating skull. And then he created some spells of his own, he created some artifacts of his own, and one of them was called the Tome of the Unicorn, not to be confused with like History of the Unicorn Run or something like that from Baldur's Gate 1. The Tome of the Unicorn he created was called like that because it was like bathed in blood of unicorns and whatnot. Also from the horns of the unicorns he made his own staff, Staff of Shoon. But anyway, the point is that it's not certain whether it was by his own doing or by the doing of some rival spellcaster, but eventually, as the demi-lich, he was trapped inside the book for like 300 years. And then a Calamshite wizard by the name of Shoon VII found him and made a deal with the demi-lich, in which he was supposed to bring 7 innocent souls for the demi-lich to consume, and in return he would get the location of a very powerful artifact known as the Living Gem. That's not really important. The important thing is that Shoon delivered and captured a party of Zallanora, who was a pretty young elf sorceress, I guess, a spellcaster, traveling with her friends. And they were captured by Shoon, and Shoon VII, in his demi-lich form, began to consume their souls. And once he consumed the souls of her friends, and he was about to consume the soul of Zallanora, the time of troubles began. So the time where gods were forced to walk Faerun in their mortal forms. And the temporary chaos of that event that happened in magic made them actually swap their souls. So Zallanora got captured in the book, in the demi-lich form, previously inhabited by the spirit of Shoon, whose spirit got transferred over to Zallanora's body. And this is actually Shoon, inhabiting the body of Zallanora, who then, later joined the Cowled Wizards, and using his charisma and the elven charms of Zallanora through seduction and whatnot, he actually gained influence in the Cowled Wizards, and there he is. That's why Zallanora here is a level 30 mage, and that's still like toned down a little bit from what Shoon VII is supposed to be in the lore. He's supposed to be a level 36 necromancer, and she is actually a necromancer as well, which is pretty cool that they stay true to the lore here. But he is supposed to be one of the most powerful spellcasters in Faerun, being the level 36 Necromancer in the 2nd edition. In the 3rd edition, he is level 31 in Necromancer and level 5 in Archmage, but, that's a slightly different system with the prestige classes and whatnot. But anyway, that's why Zallanora here is level 30, and she's going to be protected basically against everything. Then we have the level 20 Cowled Grey Enforcer and the other two. So this is truly the final wave, and like I said, it's a shame that there is no info whatsoever about Zallanora here in Baldur's Gate 2 in the game, but they actually stay pretty true to the lore, which is very interesting in my opinion. So yeah, that's who this person is supposed to be. But anyway, let us... Oh no! I thought I had Senashira selected and I wanted to move her back, but I actually interrupted Storm of Vengeance. On Anomen. Oh my god. Well, okay then.
What is it now?
We are going to unleash Symbol Stun upon them. And we are going to wait with Horrid Wilting a little bit.
With all speed, comrade.
Alright, so let's see what they have here. So she has a Chain Contingency with Improved Mantle, which is actually nothing to concern ourselves about. She also has immunity to Abjuration, whereas the Grey guy has immunity to Divination. Yeah, she also has Spell Shield, and I think she also has Spell Trap. Yeah, she has a ton of protections. Yeah, anyway. We have lost our super important Storm of Vengeance in this encounter, so this is going to be way more difficult than it should be. Anyway, let's unleash our sequencer now, our Dispelling sequencer from Senashira. And we're going to just be prepared, I think, to attack once this Dispel goes into effect.
Time to move?
And here I think we can start casting that Horrid Wilting.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that Horrid Wilting of course damaged Senashira, but she is protected against magic damage. Alright, some of them got affected. We also have a Mordenkainen sword, which doesn't really matter. Some of them got affected by our
At your order.
remove magic, and we're going to also cast another symbol stun from Anomen. We'll see how that is going to work. There's also the spell magic directed at Anomen, but we can't really spread out too much to reduce its effectiveness. Imoen is going to be vulnerable to interruptions because of that, but anyway, let's wait for these symbols to hit. Alright, Zallanora has time stop, and we'll see what she's going to be able to do. Warding Whip on Senashira should be consumed by her spell shield, so this shouldn't be too big of a deal. She also has True Sight, which is going to of course dispel our mirror images, and she renews Improved Mantle, and that's it. Alright, so not that big of a deal. Let's try to get rid of this guy, since he kind of got away from the main group. I think Kirinai, yeah, has this other Cowled Mage under control. We also have this other symbol stun underway, so let's just wait for it to hit before we get in there with Jaheira and Anomen to deal some damage. Yes, Senashira is able to get to that guy. Alright, another... Okay, he actually cast protection from magical weapons, so we're not going to be able to get to him just yet. But we probably can damage this guy. And was your... Yeah, Imoen's Horrid Wilting was pretty successful. Now we're going to cast another Horrid Wilting by Edwin, and he at least has his Stone Skins.
What do you want?
And I think I am going to renew Stone Skins on Imoen.
Speak.
Now, here we might try and get to this guy with our normal Warhammer. We'll see if he still has his Mantle or Improved Mantle active, or if that expired.
What is it now?
And with Anomen, what can we do here with you? Perhaps we can use your Wand of the Heavens. And I think Jaheira... I would like to unleash this Earthquake, but this commoner really makes things complicated here. We cannot really use spells that are not party-friendly here. So I think Jaheira is just going to be prepared to go in and use some damage. Right, so this green Cowled Wizard, let me just quickly see. Yeah, they have protection from magical weapons as well, so let's see if we can get through to them with our daggers. There's another remove magic targeted on Anomen, which might dispel our mages as well. Yeah, did dispel Edwin. But anyway, let's try and get through to them with our normal weapons. And now Imoen is going to unleash her sequencer on Zallanora. Actually, no. We cannot do that just yet. We need to do a normal secret word, just to dispel her spell shield, and then we need Senashira's Ruby Ray to dispel her spell trap. And then we're going to, in order to dispel her other protections, we're going to unleash our triple secret word, which should wipe her clean pretty much of protections, and then we will be able to get through to her. Alright, so this mage here, we want to... Why are you over there? That was due to my bad orders, I think. Alright, so of course our mages, being dispelled as they are from protections, they run a very high risk of being interrupted, and that was the case with Imoen, but perhaps Edwin is going to be more successful. I don't have time to renew protections on them here. Alright, this mage died, so we only have the Cowled Wizard and Zallanora herself, or Shoon VII himself. And do we also have our True Seeing still active? We do not. So we have to use our Detect Illusions here to reveal that other mage from invisibility.
Certainly.
Alright, Secret Word from Edwin was successful, so we are going to follow that up with our Ruby Ray, and hopefully we're not going to get interrupted on Senashira, because that's an incredibly important spell. here Jaheira and even Anomen can prepare to deal with that other mage. Right, she has a spell sequencer with Stone Skin and both fire shields. We are going to have to tank through the fire shield damage. But we can make our life a little bit easier by equipping our resistance helmets at least. Actually, yeah, that's the right helmet.
What is it?
So once, alright, she got her illusions dispelled. Now we can get through to her, cut through her stone skins. Alright, let's now see. Okay, the Ruby Ray of Reversal did hit.
Time to move?
My weapon has no effect.
Yeah. Now we can unleash our triple secret word on Zallanora here. Boom, that's it. And we can likely breach her now with Edwin.
Yes?
And Jaheira, or Senashira is going to be ready here. She is going to be ready. Right, a simple death was unleashed upon us, and I think actually Jaheira, having 59 HP instead of the 60 that would make her safe, was, you know, vulnerable to that effect, but managed to save against it.
Point the sword, and I shall strike.
What is it?
Right, breach hit Zallanora, who just, you know, a second ago activated protection from magical weapons, so that all got dispelled, and we can just quickly dispose of her with Senashira here.
Yep. This way. Speak.
Yeah, we're getting through to her, and perhaps we can get some remove magics onto this one,
What should I fetch now?
Yes?
just to make our job a little bit easier. And Zallanora, curiously enough, is only worth 6,000 experience.
Will be done.
Okay, but that was not effective, but we are getting through to her. We need to get Kiranai. Oh, daylight is coming. Officially, we have daylight upon us. Alright, let's just get rid of this Mordenkainen's sword, and that's the whole fight. That other wizard apparently was worth 20,000 experience. That should be Zallanora's amount of experience, but yeah, it would make more sense that way. But anyway, that was the final wave, apparently, with the highest ranked members of the Cowled Wizards. Of course, the whole organization isn't really completely destroyed, but you know, we have dealt a serious blow to the Cowled Wizards, and hopefully that will slow down their machinations. Let's just wait for this teleport field to dissipate. Alright, we get Incendiary Cloud. Oh, wow, and that's it. Zallanora actually has like 5 high-level random drops available, so... or 4, so she can drop like... she very... like, often enough drops like 3 high-level scrolls, and we only got 1. Well, anyway... unfortunately, the scrolls that we got from all of these 6 waves were not too impressive. But we did get our spell trigger, which is the most important thing. So we're happy about that. And yeah, that's the Cowled Wizards. In Baldur's Gate 2, at least, as much as they appear, they are destroyed. And we are seriously over time, but that was a fun episode to play. I hope it was also fun for you to watch. So I thank you for being here with me and watching the videos, and I'll see you in the next one.